Hello, my name's Philippa Waller.
My name is Penelope Waller, and we are two of the directors at 4D Human Being.
And welcome to the 4D Human Being podcast. What's it all about, Pen?
It's all about your personal and professional relationships. It's about your communication skills, how you lead, how you work and build teams, how you are looking after yourself and your well-being, and how you are much more at choice. What do we mean by that?
Well, sometimes we can get a little caught in patterns in life and we can all be a little bit on our automatic pilot. So 4D Human Being is all about helping us get back to choice and being a four-dimensional human being. And your fourth dimension, of course,
is intention. So whether it's about your impact, your leadership style, your team dynamics, whether it's about your well-being, whether it's about your communication or your presentation skills, anything that involves human beings interacting with other human beings, 4D Human Being are here to help.
we're going to take a deep dive and look at some tools, insights, theories that are going to help you go from a 3D human doing to a 4D human being so that you can happen to the world rather than the world simply happening to you.
I think we've done the testing.
I think I've reached a stage in life where I've done the testing. This vehicle has been road tested. If it's not roadworthy by now.
Well, yes, and
discuss.
Now's the time to go in for an annual MOT.
You are not wrong, and hope the doors don't fall off. So, welcome to the 4D Human Being podcast, where we're hoping our gears will grind us through. Actually, it's very apt because today we want to talk about...
I'm just going to say, we have to be grateful. This was what was said in my yoga class this morning.
Oh yeah, go on.
Be grateful for what's possible and what you can do. And I thought, if the doors...
Even though that's getting more and more limited.
If the doors fall off, well, at least I've got a couple of wheels.
Yeah, if the doors fall off, you've got a sort of sports car, haven't you? Exactly. It's all about the narrative, isn't it? It's just how you frame it. Exactly. So no, it's very apt though, keeping the old car going. Actually, it's not even keeping it going, is it? I think what our point is today is actually do take it in for an MOT.
Yes,
do keep upgrading it because
it matters.
Also, it's going to be much easier and less stressful to drive, isn't it? So we want to talk today about why bother going and doing some training and some personal development, because yes, it takes time out, yes, it's a bit of an effort, yes, you have to step into the territory of I'm not very good at this or I don't know how to do this, all of those things. And
well, as I said to you just before we started recording, I watched a sort of mini piece on Instagram of a young guy, nobody we know, facilitating a session, and he'd posted it on Instagram, and he was talking about the physical language of presenting, and
otherwise known as body language.
Otherwise known as body language, yes, also.
Yeah.
And he did some different things, and I thought well, actually he was very good, and the impact was good. And the comments underneath were, it doesn't matter, let her just present how she wants. And I felt like shouting. I didn't put a message, but I felt like saying, it does matter.
Yeah, it does matter.
It does matter in terms of so many things which we're going to talk about. But in terms of how our brain processes body language, verbal language, movement, emphasis, all of these things, it matters, it matters. And I know that we are in this world. This is our world and we love it. The science speaks for itself. It matters.
Well, and you know what else you're speaking to? So two things on that. One is that I'm going to say we have to. I mean, it's a strong sort of opening statement, but we have to find the balance between offering up developmental suggestions and ideas and, growth and evolution and why don't you try this, balanced with you're good enough as you are. And both can be true. It's a both and actually the second thing I want to say on this is it's also Mental Health Week, and this is so relevant, not only what we're going to talk about today in terms of genuinely making your life easier if you do some development on your communication skills, having difficult conversations, dealing with stress, presenting, speaking in public. Exactly, your own inner narrative. If you do some work on that, you are going to improve your mental health. You're going to make your life easier. And the same goes with any mental health any psychotherapy, any counselling that you might have or groups you might work with, is it's really important that in therapy you're held as you're good enough as you are,
more than good enough.
And what let's play with some ideas of what if we look at things differently or shift in a way
because it's
that can help.
Exactly, because it's all
it's not saying you're rubbish.
Exactly. And going back to this video on Instagram, the woman presenting, she was perfectly good. The lady who'd volunteered, she was perfectly good, and the way that she happened to be standing was just a habit. It was just the way that you stand. She stands, and there was nothing wrong with it.
That's right.
And she has so many other choices available to her.
Exactly. And we only know what we've learned. We are basically the sum of our learnings.
Yeah. So let's learn some more.
And we become a bigger and better sum.
Yeah.
And we say, it's good enough how you are. And you may well be caught in so many minutes and hours of blaming others, being angry at other people, hours and hours spent redrafting angry emails, talking to other people about the situations that you're in, that one person at work that takes up so much of your mental energy, and so it goes on. So yes, in a way, it's fine how you are, and actually, is it costing you? Because something we talk about a lot, again, in a clinical practice in psychotherapy, is we've all developed strategies to do the best we can with how we've been brought up and kind of the path that we've had, with the cards we've been dealt.
Exactly.
So we've all developed strategies, and that's
so
great.
we should be really proud of ourselves.
We should be really, really pleased with those strategies. And actually, for some people, they've gone through very tough times. You might be at a place in your career which you never thought possible because of something that happened to you, or where you came from in life, and you've worked really hard and you've got strategies that have helped get you there. And they might be that you put on the brave face or whatever it might be, and that's great. And they will be costing you.
Yeah.
They'll be costing you in other ways. So it might be that you can't show certain parts of yourself. It might be that you cannot show vulnerability in a conflict or difficult conversation. It might be that you can't really connect with other people because actually your strategy has been to achieve and be successful in terms of sort of tasks and just getting done what needs to be done. So it's not that those strategies are bad. It's just that they will only take you so far, and they'll have a cost, and they will only take you so far. And one of the big things we want to talk about today, around the reason of why do some development, why improve your communication skills, why really come to 4D and get the best training that you can possibly get in the world. And I'm not just saying that. Our clients, I am just saying that, but our clients would say it, because most people that we meet at some point or other
reach a limit, hit a wall.
They hit a ceiling. We talk a lot about the glass ceiling in terms of women in the workplace or women in the world, but actually everybody can hit a ceiling in terms of being stuck in a pattern, being stuck in their career, and being caught in the same dances and patterns.
Yeah, and as human beings, we are, most of us, pretty good at looking backwards and being able to join the dots. It's quite satisfying. I really like that expression, join the dots. I don't know if it was Steve Jobs that first said it or somebody else, but we can look back and we can understand those lessons that we've learnt in life, particularly through our career, that have helped us develop, change, try different things, become a better leader, whatever it might be. We're just not very good at looking forward and believing and thinking that the same kind of changes will and do need to happen to take us through the next stage of our life.
And that we actually need to do something to make that
exactly
happen.
We tend to think that the changes that will happen from now on will be significantly less,
if any,
than the changes that have happened in the past. And it's just simply not true. And exactly as you said, Phil, honestly, most people, certainly at a senior level, most people that we work with will have hit that frustration where all of the strategies that have worked in the past don't seem to now be working to take them any further. I mean, it's absolutely classic, and for lots of different reasons, lots of different sort of types of issues that come up. But that developmental work in terms of just expanding the range of choices that you have in terms of how you lead, how you communicate, how you show up, how you relate with other people is worth its weight in gold. It really is.
Well, I wonder if you can, without mentioning any names, talk about the client that you spoke to earlier this week and how nothing's changed externally in the system, but for him, the game has completely changed.
Yeah. So
through the 4D work.
Yeah, so I've been working with a leader for a couple of years, and as is so often the case, we often come in and we're talking about how to make a better impact in terms of executive presence and communication skills and all those kind of things. And there was some frustration in this client in terms of where they were being seen and where they were being taken to in terms of their seniority. And look, it's pretty tough times out there. I mean, lots of companies are having pretty tough times, and it's even tougher to get the promotion or perhaps the recognition that you want. So recognising that in the system, nevertheless, frustrations can exist. We want to be recognised and acknowledged for the work that we do. And the work that I've done with this client is really about expanding the way that we operate, who and how we are interacting and communicating with other people, the story that we're telling about ourselves and how we're talking about the work that we do and our teams. And I had a conversation with them yesterday and just really acknowledged and celebrated the fact that those thought patterns around the frustration have gone, really. And it's not that anything has changed externally, but the way that this person feels about who they are and the work that they're doing has changed. Yeah. And it's such a great example of the fact that we are, I don't know if I want to say primarily, but a lot of the reality that we experience is how we are creating it internally with what data we choose to take in, how we choose to interpret things, narrate things, etc., etc. And things can stay the same on the outside, and the experience is very different on the inside. And it's so wonderful.
We must have all experienced this, exactly that, where from one day to the next, your mood is completely different, and there's literally nothing that's changed. No. But your state, I mean, it's the Deb Dana quote, it's my favourite quote of all time, story follows state. Get your state right. And that is absolutely about some of the 4D work is really about that internal narrative. It takes me to is it the St. Francis of Assisi prayer, to know what you to know what you can control or change and know what you can't, and to have the grace, have the wisdom to know the difference. And it really is that. And you need the tools to know what to do, because that is the thing about patterns. It's all very well, and I think what can be really, really difficult is that you can be working so hard to try to break through a blocker, for example, in a difficult relationship. And you can say to a colleague, oh my goodness, I've got to talk to you about it. And firstly, let me tell you, some of those colleagues are probably sick to the back teeth of here because now they're caught in the pattern because they're part of and I'm sure they're very good friends and very good listeners. But, bearing in mind, we're also dragging other people into our patterns again and again. And then they might offer, well, have you thought about or why? And you're like, but it doesn't mean anything to you because you are in the because you're in the state that you're in. And I just want to finish on that. I think the problem with that prefrontal cortex or your friend's idea trying to solve the problem is you are trying to access it from the wrong place. And if I give an example of someone I'm working with, the energy that is going into the content of long emails to try to get an issue resolved in a difficult relationship, and other emails going to other parties and bosses and colleagues to try to get some influence and some momentum on board and to get some kind of stakeholder tipping point. And I've now got these, I'm seeing it to supposedly to look at, what else can be done here? What else can I do? And I want to go,
just stop.
Stop on the content, because the prefrontal cortex, so our lovely new rational bit of the brain, is working like Billio trying to solve this. But it's on a foundation emotionally and relationally, that of sand. It doesn't matter what words you put on top of this, you are not going to get the response. And that is where the 4D training starts. And I think sometimes it can be a bit, people can feel like, well, I'm too busy doing those things to do that. And I'm like, if you took a couple of hours, half a day, one day, and actually
get out of the drama
and actually have some tools around being intentional, relational, setting a different attitude and energy and changing the relationship dynamic, you are going to save yourself days, weeks, months and years of your life.
And of mental energy.
And just finally on that, this analogy came up in my dance class this morning, my dance lesson in the waltz, that the thing about doing the technique and those little sort of fiddly bits that it's difficult, because you're learning something new. The brain is literally building new neural pathways and connections to the body, and it's hard work initially. But if you do that hard work, boy, is dancing easier.
Well, especially once you've built that superhighway of dance, once all that lovely...
Well, also, and the other thing I love about
neural pathways built up.
Exactly, and the other thing I love about the analogy of dance, which is so brilliant for our work, is once you've done some of those techniques in the waltz, you've got them for foxtrot, you've got it for quick step. So the same thing goes for the 4D work. If you bring this issue with this person to us, we'll work on you with it. We'll give you those tools. You've now got those tools. You can apply that to John, Jill, Bob, Sandra. It's done.
Yeah,
you've got it all.
Exactly, and the same thing applies at a really kind of tangible level in terms of communication skills. So whether we're talking about really deep kind of personal or leadership development, or we're talking simply about how you choose to write an email and communicate
or present,
the 4D work can really help to be that bridge. And a really good example of this that I've got with a client, and it's also a kind of analogy, is someone who did our training a long time ago and is now running a really big team, has been in touch and has kind of compiled a series of materials in terms of how emails should be written, good communication. And that's absolutely brilliant. And as the client said to me, and we don't quite know how to get the team to actually do it, how to write the emails like that. And that, I think that's one of the things that 4D can do so brilliantly, is it can be really obvious to us. No, but just do it like that, write it like that. And it's frustrating that perhaps others can't see it, but we need the tools to bridge from current pattern and behaviour to the new pattern and behaviour. And that bridge is invisible.
Yeah.
But it's there. Yeah. And it needs to be, people need help crossing it.
And it's about activation, isn't it? And it's about motivation. And that doesn't happen through a set of instructions. No. It happens through a much more visceral, body, emotional, but that's why our training is energised, it's interactive. That's why we've done all the research and we make the tools very simple, because we know how people are motivated. We need one clear instruction, and underneath it is the energy and the engagement, and that it's fun and it's interesting to do. Exactly. And that is how we are motivated. The ceiling in terms of career, I mean, you and I must have had that conversation.
Yeah.
I mean, almost every week we're having that conversation.
Often, if I'm at a starting point in coaching, talking about this, I'll often use task and relationship as the kind of starting point, how to think about this. The reason being that so often we've been rewarded on task and doing stuff early on in our career. And then we're still doing all the stuff and all the detail. And then we're getting told by people that that presentation was too detailed, nobody understood it, you didn't really hit what the audience needed. And it's confusing because you're like, well, this is how I've been doing it for the last 20 years. Why is this no longer working?
Well, if I go back to school, you didn't get a certificate for...
No, don't tell me I didn't get a certificate.
No, you did. But you don't get a certificate for, Jilly, I saw how much you work to engage your partner there in that art project.
Yeah. And I think you might do it at primary
maybe
school.
Maybe you would at primary school. But after, you're not getting certificates of that. You're getting certificates for the outcome.
Yeah.
And we get to a place where that has been rewarded so many times. It's been stroked so many times that it's an unconscious process. We just want to do that. So when we ask clients, whether it's a verbal or written communication or it's a problem in a team dynamic, you say, well, what are you trying to do? What's your intention? And they say, well, I want them to know that they've got to do this by Monday at 5 o'clock.
Yeah, or I'm just here to inform them.
Yeah, I'm just here to inform them. And I want them to do it. Yeah, but what's your intention towards them? And they'll probably repeat again, I want them to do the thing I want them to do, and I want them to stop saying that they're going to do it a different way.
Or they need to.
And I want them to...
Which
agree
trust me,
with
I
it.
totally
get it. I mean, wouldn't the world be easier if it just moulded to our will? I mean, exactly. I mean, it would be. It would be a sort of, it would be a sort of terrible, hopefully benign dictatorship. But...
A quick quick word from us at 4D Human Being. If you're enjoying the show, please do click follow so that you can have the 4D Human Being podcast instantly in your feed. And we'd love it if you liked and reviewed us. Let us know what you think.
Please do think of 1 or 2 people that you could share the 4D Human Being podcast with. Somebody who would really benefit from the content you're listening to right now.
Back to the show. But actually, exactly that. If you think about task versus relationship, what is your intention towards this person? Because here's the thing. Whether you're trying to get them to do something, stop doing something, or hit a deadline, if you haven't set a clear intention in the relationship, if you haven't decided how you want them to feel, and let's go back to what we said earlier, people are motivated based on how they feel generally and certainly how they feel about you. You're going to do something for the person you love, much more likely than the person you don't like.
100%.
100%. And if you haven't chosen what so that's our fourth dimension, intentional dimension. If you haven't chosen the bedrock, the foundation of this relationship and how it's going to feel, and you haven't got a clear intention towards them, they are going to feel something.
Yes.
So if you're going about the task and are not thinking about the fact that underneath the task is fury and irritation or fear, they are going
That's what they're going to feel.
to feel it.
Well, also,
so you might as well set the intention.
Totally. And we this is why we were all about the human being, because we have to accept that we are human beings and we are driven.
Very frustrating for some people.
Frustrating.
I just want to press the button and get them to do it. Yeah.
We are driven by emotion, and we are in many ways self-interested in terms of what's in it for us. And I do often say that to people when I'm sort of coaching around interview skills, which is one of my absolute favourite things to do.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of put in a position where you think you have to talk about yourself and you have to talk about all the things that you're good at.
Yeah. And tick those boxes.
And whilst there is a truth to that, I do often say to people, I say, look, I'm kind of exaggerating, but I'm going to say this anyway. The interviewer sitting opposite you literally doesn't care. Literally doesn't care. Like, could read your CV, doesn't want to sit there talking about you droning on about all of your jobs for the past 20 years.
Sales targets. And
what is your intention in terms of how you want to make this person feel?
Yeah. Well, actually, if you extend the interview scenario, right, and you've got your child, your I don't know, early in career daughter or son, or you've got a niece or a nephew or a friend's child that you've known forever, and they're sitting in front of you, and then you've got Smarty Pants, who you don't know, comes in with all of their great achievements and prefect at school and head of the student union, and there they are with all of their achievements.
You're looking at,
and you just had this really nice chat with the person that you know and got on to the relationally. You are going to work really hard to find reasons why you give it to the person that you like, because that is Cialdini, isn't it? We're so influenced by that,
so true.
So, and that's the difficulty particularly in career ceilings. We'll talk about both being stuck in those relationship dynamic patterns where we just find the same sort of people irritating, or we're always caught in the same team dynamics. We always seem to end up in teams that aren't very good, or we end up in teams who
chaotic.
And I was like, but weird, what's the common denominator here? And we're going to talk about that career ceiling. And the thing about the career ceiling, of course, is exactly as you said, it almost doesn't make sense that for 30 years or 20 years you've had your sleeves rolled up, you've got stuck in,
got rewarded,
you've worked 16-hour days, you've done work that Bob should have done and didn't do, you've done the extra work, you've got rewarded.
I found myself saying that back in the day.
Yeah. Why am I doing all
I mean, I've had those conversations with bosses. I'm doing twice as much as them.
Why have they been promoted? Exactly. Everybody knows. The thing is, everybody knows it. Everybody's either been the protagonist in those conversations, or they've been the colleague that someone else has talked to.
Yeah.
Why is that? Why is Nick or Sandra getting promoted? I work twice as hard as them. This is what we call the ceiling. Because
and I've even had people say, it's people aren't doing enough work. They're just sort of spending their time, networking with people. And I'm like,
That's smart. That's the job. And this is the ceiling, that you hit that stage where you go from the doing gets the certificate to the being gets the certificate. And the weird thing about that, and you've been here, I know you've been here, is when you look over that, sort of peak, you look up, past the ceiling that you're at, and you go, but they don't seem to be doing as much up there. I don't understand how that's going to work better for me. I've got to keep doing.
And you can have the double whammy of thinking, and the people below me can't do it as well as me.
Yeah, and there we are. Now we're stuck. And the problem with that, of course, is all the time that you are head down, pedalling
Exhausted.
hard, everyone's going to say, oh, leave Sandra there. She's doing all that. We'll promote Nick. He's out there talking to people and building great relationships, and people seem to want to follow him because he's looking up, isn't it? And it's so frustrating. Because then, Sandra looks up from her little treadmill.
It's not fair!
Sweating, going, it's not fair. Why is he... I'm pedalling like Billy. We're like, well, we know, and that's why we're leaving you there, because you're pedalling like Billy-O,
And it's the same with how we communicate as well, in terms of all the, the detail that we know and that we're sharing, and et cetera, et cetera. And yet, at a higher level in an organisation, that's not what is required.
Well, it's a really good question, isn't it? If you look at the email that you want to send to that annoying colleague, or
how many annoying colleagues?
As always, well, in fact, we're going to do a teaser on our next campaign on this. But let me just finish this. So if you look at the email that you want to send to that annoying colleague, or you think about the conversation that you've had or want to have with that annoying colleague, would the CEO, VP or SVP of your organisation be spending their time communicating like that? They wouldn't, would they?
It's true. It's true.
No, so this is a really good place to do the teaser for the next campaign that we're going to do, which I absolutely love, is the big question. Are you good to work with?
Ooh,
are you
holding the mirror
good
up
to work with? Because we spend so much time saying, I can't work with them. They're so difficult to work with. And actually, we're going to look at some tools and tips from the 4D toolkit around exactly holding the mirror up and actually, are you good to work with? And actually, I'm laughing as I say that because I'm like, there are moments.
How open are we going to be on this campaign?
There are moments where, but it's knowing. I had a this is sort of slightly jumping ahead, isn't it? But I had a moment the other day where I definitely got caught in the sort of treadmill of it's productive Thursday.
Oh, crikey.
We all know those days. Churning it out. And I talked to our lovely creators who I just absolutely love, who are editing our lovely podcast, Laura and Andy.
Green Bear Productions.
Green Bear, so amazing. And I said, and I'd done, rattled off probably even a WhatsApp, not an email, no time for email, WhatsApp. And as soon as I'd done it, it was sort of the end of the day, and I know how much they've got on, and I got in the car, so I was out working out of away from home, and I got in the car and I just stopped, because I managed to stop for a moment. My intentional dimension kicked back in, and I left a voice message saying, I just want to say I was right in the treadmill, push. Where's this? And
brilliant work.
Yeah, brilliant work. Just catching it, because we all do it. Like, we're all human.
Especially on a Friday afternoon, we think, I'll just get that off my desk.
Yeah. And actually,
someone else has got to deal with that.
But being good to work with can equally be catching those patterns and just holding your hand up and going, caught in that pattern, but just want to acknowledge it, and that's fine. Like, we're not. This is somebody very dear to me always says, sainthood is hard. We're not going for sainthood. Okay, I want to talk about the 4 drives.
Yeah.
In relation,
we don't often talk about the 4 drives anymore, do we?
Daniel Pink.
Oh, I love them.
From a number of years ago, we used to use these a lot, and it's a really, really nice way to think about where you put your energy. Certainly in relationship to the work we do, that spending some time doing some training and development will really make sense in terms of the 4 drives. So Daniel Pink's 4 drives are, over to you. 1,
acquire and achieve.
Number 2,
learn and grow.
Number 3,
bond and relate.
And number 4,
secure and defend.
Okay, so we can say this again. Number 1,
acquire and achieve.
Number 2,
learn and grow.
Number 3, bond and relate. And number 4,
secure and defend.
So if we unpack those, number 1 is acquire and achieve. So we can really put this into what we've been talking about, the doing to
ambitious, get
promotion, more money, have the status, all of that.
And also deliver things.
Tasks, get stuff done. And sit on your yacht.
Why not?
Because you've earned
Why
it.
not?
You've earned it.
And all of these have their, similar to the work we do in Spiral Dynamics, all of these have their kind of upsides and downsides, so to speak.
Yeah, it's just catching what literally why they're called the 4 drives, what's driving you.
Second one is learn and grow. So this is about, opportunities, doing new things, learning new things, curiosity, personal growth, as well as kind of intellectual growth, career growth. So expansion, really.
Yeah, so very 4D.
Yeah.
Number 3, bond and relate.
So this is what we'd call the lovely green space. So this is where your focus is very much on relationships. So your priorities, whatever your role might be or your job might be, your priority would be other people. Who do I know? Who could I get to know? How can I help them feel good? How can I create
how
more
are they
team?
feeling? Like, what's going on for that other person?
Yeah.
Can I stand in their shoes for a moment before I send this email?
Yeah, and that's going to override any other. If that's your number one drive, that's going to.
Yeah, I'm going to drop.
Yeah,
I'm going to drop this task because Marjorie next door needs her dog walked.
Exactly.
So I'm going to go and do that.
Exactly.
And then the final one, which is super interesting, is secure and defend.
Yeah, and I think this is a really, really interesting one because this is. It's not. If you think about the others, in one way or another, they're pushing out. They're interested in something out there.
Yeah, to get something
gaining
else.
Relationship, gaining knowledge, gaining stuff.
Yeah.
Secure and defend is not interested in pushing out. It's interested in defending and securing what it's got.
Holding on.
Yeah. So this could be, for example, sometimes we see this, someone who's towards the end of their career, are very happy with their job, know what they're doing, have done it a million times over. Big transformation is coming. They're not interested in new opportunities, change, meeting new people. They just want to carry on doing what they're doing, and they want to lock it down. And unsurprisingly, they are the most challenging people to motivate. But there is a little trick with secure and defend.
With secure and defend, so we're not going to spend too long on that. You motivate through loss. So secure, if you're dealing with someone in secure and defend,
they don't want to lose what they've got.
They don't want to lose what they've got. So you might say, listen, can I have a quiet word, David? I know you really don't like the idea of this new initiative or this change, but I think people are noticing that you're blocking it, your reputation might suffer. I know how much people admire you and respect you, and I just think I just wonder if people are questioning whether you're behind the curve on this one. And I say this as a friend, and so it's something like that,
or even that desk you might have to change from your top spot in the office, or you might get a project taken away from you.
Or if we don't do this, we risk losing the market share that we've got. So that's how you would that's how you would motivate, secure and defend. But what the other thing that's interesting about secure and defend is how miserable it makes us when we've got a lot of change going on in our lives, or a company is making redundancies, and we get caught in secure and defend where we just want to hold on to what we've got. And as things are kind of crumbling and changing around us, what we're doing is we're choosing the drive that is going to make us the most miserable, because it's the one we cannot control. Whereas in that moment of change, if we chose to relate to other people and connect, if we chose to look for new opportunities and learn and grow and develop, we can do something about what's happening. And when we get caught in secure and defend, I just want to hold on to my job. And it's understandable, but of course it's a very, very tough place to end up being. So part of the reason that we're talking about the 4 drives is, if we think about this really broadly in life, most people, as we know from research done with palliative care nurses who talk to people who are towards the end of their lives, the things that are top of people's list in terms of what they regret or what they're pleased about in their lives is they wish they'd spent more time with people, or they wish they'd taken that opportunity, or they wish they'd learned another language, or they wish they'd learned or grown or developed or done new things.
No one kind of says I wish. Maybe occasionally they say I wish I hadn't done something, but it's more often I wish I had done something.
And most people aren't saying I wish I had another sofa. Or another yacht, or I wish I'd had 3 cars instead of 2. Like nobody really goes to acquire and achieve. I mean, they really don't, because it's so irrelevant at that point. And what's so interesting about this, when we think again about taking some time to do some personal development, is how much it's going to change your experience of life. I mean, the 4D work has not only changed our experience of ourselves and our lives, it has changed hundreds and hundreds of people that we've worked with, and we get those kind of emails. Literally, people will say to us, oh my goodness, this has been absolutely life-changing. I had one after a first session. Somebody said, oh my goodness, I just feel this has been absolutely amazing. I can't tell you what a lightness you have just given me, just on that first foundational model. But this is the thing, that when we think about the amount of time and energy going on task at work, and you're actually, if you think about, all right, well, I want to do this because I want to, I don't know, buy another sofa or whatever, build or buy another house or buy a yacht. Exactly how many sofas can you sit on? I mean, that's the question, isn't it? But or I want another car, I want another yacht. So great, all right, that's all good. And, there's a very solid case for acquire and achieve and getting the job done and keeping the money coming in. Now you're on your yacht. What are you going to do? You're going to have, presumably...
Make sure my dog doesn't fall off it.
Exactly, make sure your dog, because he'll be with you. But once you've got your house, or you've got your car, or whatever.
Yeah.
Really, the experience of life now is the people that you're going to be with and share those experiences with, and the conversations and the interest and the curiosity about life or what's going on, or how Uncle Dave is cooking the steak on the barbecue, whatever it is. But it's not really about getting stuff. It's about what can we learn and grow here, and how can we relate. So if you come back to why bother training and developing, why bother taking time out of the achievement?
Because it's the essence of life.
It's the essence of life. It is going to change the game. And imagine changing those frustrating, repeating patterns with those colleagues, changing difficulty into gold, changing challenge into really great creative relationships, changing frustrating difference into creative diversity. It is a game changer, isn't it? And also not having sleepless nights and panics because you've been asked to do a presentation at work, but actually having the tools to go, I know how to do this. Not only do I know how to do this, I know how to do this and make it look amazing and give people a really good time. And boy, do people need a good time in presentations.
Yeah, exactly. As we said on our last podcast, nobody ever asked for a presentation to be longer.
Exactly. So for me, it's really about changing your idea of training. And for us, whether that's one-to-one coaching, whether you want to come on a group workshop, develop your team, whether you engage with our 4D on demand digital platform, that it's not a drag, that actually it's something you can enjoy, embrace and engage with, and that is going to reward you hugely. Totally. Even if you did 5 minutes a day, it's going to reward you so much over time.
Exactly. It matters both in terms of the experience you're creating for other people and the impact that you make, and it matters for yourself in terms of literally the experience of life you're creating for yourself. Whether that's, you get the promotion that you want, or you get the recognition that you want, or you feel about yourself the way you want to feel about yourself, is absolutely invaluable. And it just continues to surprise me how it's not nearer the top of everyone's agenda.
I know. Well, so it's interesting, isn't it? Because what a good point, Pen, that I think training and development, a bit like physical exercise, it's the thing that falls off the list. So if you find that you are caught in a pattern, if you're listening to this and in the last sort of 24 hours or week, you're either managing people who are squabbling and how you're having to deal with that, or you are somebody who is getting difficult emails from somebody, or you're somebody who's sending those, or you're having difficult conversations, or you're avoiding those difficult conversations, because that takes quite a lot of energy to avoid colleagues as well, or you've got a presentation coming up, you're absolutely dreading it, or any number of things. If you are one of those people, there is something you can do to completely change your experience. You don't have to feel like this.
No.
You don't. I remember someone saying to me about somebody that had been angry with me, and the phrase was, "You're not afraid for the reason that you think you are." And what I love about that is it's just old patterns that actually you can walk into that room and be with that person that you find difficult. Yeah. You're not afraid for the reason you think you are. The fear is an old pattern. But it's actually if you can take the tools from 4D, you can walk in and you you won't be afraid anymore because that's old stuff. It's just old stuff.
Yeah.
And you can have a very different conversation and break through it and break through ceilings just left, right and centre.
Exactly. And I mean, obviously, we'd love you to get in touch with 4D Human Being. We also have our wonderful digital platform, which is available to everybody.
You can sign up for free at the Essentials level.
And if any of those things resonate with you in terms of difficult relationships, how you feel about presenting, I guess there's a couple of things I would say to have a think about, aside from signing up to 4D Essentials. One is, if you've got a situation like that, write down one thing that you think you could learn or have learned from that situation. That's a really good way to start reframing your mindset.
That you've learnt about yourself, or you've learnt about the team, or the other person, or the project.
Exactly. And the other thing to do is to write down one thing that you appreciate, either about yourself or the other person in this situation. It's a really good starting point to reframe things in your mind and literally kind of switch your emotional state to a different way of thinking about the situation. And if you think about that before you walk into a presentation or a conversation, it's just so likely that you'll behave in a different way.
Yeah. And do you know what that brings me to? At the end of all of this is that we talk a lot about 4D. Our full company name is 4D Human Being.
Yeah.
And what happens in those difficult moments, or those moments of anxiety or nerves about a presentation, or those feelings of anger or frustration in challenge, is that we lose contact with the human. And it becomes about the issue or the task or the feelings involved with that. And actually sometimes exactly that, we just need to go, I'm a human being, and that's another human being over there.
Exactly.
And I wonder what might be going on for them, or what can I appreciate about them, is sort of putting the human back into whatever situation that you're in. And it just suddenly makes everything much more accessible, much more doable. We can have those conversations because we can stop whipping up the drama or the nerves, bring it right back. Use some of the 4D tools. There's plenty of them absolutely free on our website, and have the conversation.
Yeah.
Human to human, or 4D human to 4D human.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the 4D Human Being podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.
Do take on board some of the insights, tools and tips, because every time that you try something new to get back to choice, you are making a vote for the you that you want to become. And I love that phrase, Pen.
I do too. And please do share this episode with somebody that you know would really benefit from the lessons and learnings we've been chatting about today.
And of course, if you're interested in more from 4D Human Being, do get in touch. We run workshops, trainings, online, in person, conference events and keynotes. We've got the 4D On Demand platform for your whole organisation. And we do have a free Essentials membership where anybody can sign up for absolutely free to access some of our insights, tools and tips. So do get in touch with us if you'd like to hear more. We cannot wait to hear from you and to carry on the conversation.